It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com.
Welcome to Connections with Deborah Turner. I'm your host and publisher of Natural Awakenings magazine for Rockland and Orange Counties, Healthy and Green Living magazine. And our June issue, if you haven't yet picked it up, is all about inspired living. And right now we're working on the July issue, which will focus on natural foods, and followed by our August issue will be education and children's health. And so today, I guess we're tying in with inspired living, and also we'll talk about children's health as well. So I'd like to welcome my guest, Sifu McCusker, who owns the Chinese Martial Arts and Educational Center, which there's a location in Pleasantville and now in Nyack as well. So welcome to the show.
Good, happy to be here.
Great. I thought we could start a little bit talking about your background and how you
Sure.
got interested in martial arts.
Yeah.
And all that.
Again, my name is Sifu McCusker. We opened a new school on in 125 Main Street in Nyack. How I got started very early on, about 3 or 4 years old. Like a lot of children, had a lot of energy, and my parents needed to really, get it out of me. I did other sports, but they put me into kung fu, karate, a different bunch of mixes as I was growing up, and I really latched on to the martial arts, and I was pretty much hooked from then on in. Went through a couple of different teachers. I had my first teacher about from 4 to 17. I had a teacher, then from about 17 to about 26. So I do believe in longevity with all my teachers, and I'm currently still training. I always train. I started when I was 4. I'm 30-something years old now, and so it's 30-something or other. So it's been about over 30 years I've been training. So yeah.
Right. And you're from the area, from the Nyack
Yeah.
area, so you've been doing your training and everything around here.
Yeah, I
and
lived down in South Nyack. Lived in Rockland County all my life, and just I'm very excited to be back in especially my hometown, or where I settled my family in, and was petitioned by a lot of my brothers and sisters that are kung fu relation to really get back here and start teaching them again. So I'm very excited.
And your other locations in Pleasantville, we should.
Yep. In Pleasantville, I've been there for about 10 years now. We have about a little over 100 students in that location, and teaching from the Shaolin studies to the Tai Chi. And other styles as well. So, a long time. We have a good celebration coming up for the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah,
so
nice.
it's going to be fun.
Yeah. So you mentioned some of the styles. So maybe we can kind of discuss, what the different styles that you offer, and if you can explain a little bit about each one, so people have a good understanding.
Well, we do what's called a 5 major school of Shaolin studies. So that incorporates the Shaolin in general, and that's a big umbrella of a lot of different styles underneath it. Tai Chi, Bhagwat, Xingyi, and we also teach Swai Jiao. So starting with the Shaolin studies, Shaolin is a Chinese martial art that dates back over about 2,000 years ago. The origin of it, you can really date back to like Buddha, and even before Buddha, the fighting concepts were always there, but Buddha with the Shaolin Temple really kind of got it really kick-started a little bit, from the Chan Buddha's teachings to the fighting art of it. But when we say Shaolin really deals with an external force. More hard-hitting, kicks, punches, grappling, all the different kind of styles of that. Just to name a couple of different styles in it, you have the Kempo, you have Tantoi, Lohan, many others. Tiger Crane systems, Hungar, is a little bit up from the Shaolin as well. And then we go into Tai Chi. Tai Chi is more of an internal art, and internal means that you're using your whole body as one unit with your spirit, and that's what really makes it internal. Other branches of that, you have Bhagwat, which is more of, it can be looked at as more of a circle walking concept, but it's not. It's really to learn how to cut angles, and very, very circular in nature, the way they move. Xingyi is another style that is a major one. It's very, very direct line. Looks almost like karate from the person who doesn't know from the outside looking in. And a very, very aggressive style. It's still an internal, just like Tai Chi. And then you also have the last one is the Swai Jiao, and Swai Jiao is the Chinese wrestling, and that's probably one of the oldest arts. Dates back to Mongolians, northern China, where Swai Jiao, the original name, means to lock horns. So it's like from the bulls looking at how they fight and wrestling to that effect. So it's the idea is just to get the person to the ground and you kind of win that battle. So that is another one we teach as well. Yeah.
Okay. And we were talking before. You're saying with the Tai Chi, like one of the things that you do is you also teach the application of it.
Sure.
As I was sharing with you, when I did Tai Chi, for years, and I kind of I knew movements, but if in a situation of having to use it self-defense, I would be like, okay, wait, can you stop? Because I know I need to get in this position. I wouldn't really know quite how to.
To apply
use it.
What makes our school special? A lot of schools do just movement. Like we have for your kung fu, your wushu school just really does the flipping, the jumping, more like what you see now in China, which is more about just physical health and what I can do with my body. We really try to keep it very traditional and understanding the applications. Going back to Tai Chi, we do a lot of just the Qigongs and movement to that effect, more for the health of the body. That's extremely important. But we also try to keep it for understand that by doing some of the applications, you'll know the arm is better. You'll know how to get in the Qigong posture better because you're understanding the way it was traditionally made. Most of the people, if you look back in old day China, doing the Shaolin studies, not many people just jumped right into Tai Chi. That's what they started with. They did do martial kung fu, but they try to get smarter with it by slowing it down, really analyzing your kung fu. That's what Tai Chi is. It's just a really focused way of doing your martial arts, taking it slow, breaking it down, and then you can find the application out of it. So when we do the Tai Chi, a lot of my guys do enjoy understanding how to apply it, because if you do need it, now you're not going to do Tai Chi like as slow as it is when you really need it. You're going to really speed it up as well to really get the job done if you have someone attacking you or just coming at your direction and to step away or whatever. So
Yeah, so I think a lot of it would have to be that you know the movement so well that instinctively you wouldn't be able to then.
Oh yeah, it takes time. It takes a lot of time to get good at this stuff. It's always a constant thing you have to do. Learning a form in Tai Chi, Tai Chi we call moving meditation. But when you're first learning it, it's not meditative. You really have to study it, look at it. It's almost the opposite until you really get it down. And then over the years, it depends on the person, but on average, probably takes about 4 or 5 years. But you don't really have to think as much. There'll be ideas pop in your head. Just if you do meditation, the idea is about getting back to the breath, just focusing on you, not really thinking about different thoughts. Now that's not very possible. Things always pop into our head, but we're trying to get back to just doing the Tai Chi the same way, trying to forget yourself in the movements, and your body will just take over. So, and then when you really need it, by doing practice all the time, the applications will come very naturally by practicing a lot.
Mm-hmm. And can you talk a little bit more about the Bhagwat, like with the circular?
Sure,
Bhagwat,
is there was one of the later ones that came into my style because I think I was a little intimidated by doing it. There was I had a lot of other styles, and the Bhagwat just seemed very difficult. And it was to learn it. It took me. It was one of the ones that took me a little longest to learn because I didn't have much of a primer to really get it. But now it's like one of my favorite arts. It deals with the style I teach out, and I have multiple styles. But what I really focus on teaching right now is the BP Chen style of Bhagwat, which we do the 8 mother form or the 8 circle walk, hand postures. We do have different weapons and stuff like that, and we go through principles of how to really use it. So the concept really is, you'll see people walking in a circle all the time. That's just a training tool, but it's really about shifting direction very quickly, just changing on a dime to go left or right. Where if you look at like Tai Chi, the way I explain to a lot of my students, Tai Chi moves north to south, or mostly south, because you usually yield something first and then use it, depending on the style. We do mostly Yang style to start. We have other styles of Tai Chi as well. But dealing with just the yang, usually you do a little bit more retreating, where the Bhagwat will move more east to west kind of concept, and then where Xingyi really goes very north. It doesn't really go back too much. It goes really north. So yeah, we have multiple styles that I teach also with the Bhagwat. I do a little bit of the yin style as well. Going back to the Tai Chi, we do Yang, we do Chen, I do Chong style, who is one of my grandmasters in our lineage, Wu style, and a little bit of Sun. So we have multiple styles that we do of Tai Chi.
Now, what tends to be like the differences between the styles?
Good question. Yeah, the Yang style is sometimes people call it the people style, because what it is it's a little bit simpler to learn. You don't have to really focus on crazy low stances like the Chen. The Chen, if you're from speaking more from the amateur looking in, that you don't really know much about Tai Chi. Chen can sometimes look like little breakdancing moves from time to time. It's really what's called fa jing, where you're really having this body shake just from natural relaxation, and you're just moving your muscles a little faster than shutting it off, or moving your skeleton faster than shutting it off. Because we don't really like to use too much muscle in the Tai Chi. It's more about your structure that you're moving. The Wu style has a little bit more stepping up, feet to kind of together, postures. It's just. It all started from something, and more Chen is more the origin of it, and they have different branches. People just, like to do it their own way, and just they had different styles that they just went into. Where Chen, you'll see, goes a little bit lower to the ground. Wu will be a little bit more Yang with some footwork that's a little bit more steady and together. And Sun is just it's a little bit more I find it more artistic. It's just my look of it. It does have a lot of good practical application, but I'm not as flexible as I need to be to do Sun style. They get that weight very low, so I don't really like that.
Okay. And that's part of why people study different styles. It's you find the ones that work for you.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about the history of Kung Fu?
Sure. Yeah. Dates back about 2,000 years ago. Talking about from Shaolin, Buddha was an Indian monk who was left India. He was a prince. Wanted to really teach out a lot of his philosophies, and decided to go to China. Wandered around for a little bit, trying to get some people to listen to his words and stuff like that. And he came upon what's called Shaolin. Now, Shaolin means young forest. So it was a small temple in a very young forest. He settled there for a little bit, tried to teach the teachings out. The story goes that he found these monks, and a lot of them were just kind of transcribing, some kind of religious studies onto tablets or some kind of parchment. And he found that when he was trying to teach them things, they would fall asleep. They would get very tired, right? Just from just doing the over and over, kind of just chiseling away at their scriptures. So he kind of created today like a modern day gym class. So he before he did that, he kind of went into, the story goes, he went into a cave and he meditated for about 7 years. And when he came out after what we call being enlightened, he figured out two forms of thought, or two books of thought. One was form of what's called bone marrow washing techniques, which is more of the modern day kung fu, and then you have another one on like breathing apparatus and more relaxation practice. So you got Tai Chi and Kung Fu kind of built there. Now it was very raw as far as what it is today into the fighting art, because everything really comes through necessity. I mean, back then they didn't need to really fight too much with where they were. Eventually, it started getting a little bit of the Shaolin started ramping up as far as the Chan Buddhism there, and the teachings from Buddha. So the emperor or some other government official would come there to really stay and learn and just kind of just hang out there, and they would really the emperor would like to lavish this temple with a lot of riches and gold and things like that. So with that, you had a lot of robbers coming into the thing, and that's when the martial arts really started going in the Shaolin studies. Now, like we said, it was always culture's been fighting with each other since the day one. But Shaolin really started getting affected by different bands and stuff like that. So they really had to create all Buddha's teachings into more of a martial art. So So that's kind of the birth of it as far as the styles. And then all different styles just kind of started popping up from how do I, like kind of like, when I was a kid, we watched Kung Fu Theater, Channel 5 Kung Fu. And, you always saw the story, okay, well, this guy beat me with this style, and I'm going to go figure out through this animal, or, they always went out to the forest to train it and then come back and beat the guy, right? But it was kind of similar, the styles became, okay, well, how do I beat, how do I solve this problem? In Shaolin, what I always have been attracted by it is that, not to downplay another art, but for example, karate or taekwondo, it's kind of just one style. And if that's not working for you, adapt. So I can pull from different styles. You try your best at one. If it's not working, you got to switch up and try it out. So if my kung fu, something, I might go to Bhagwat or Xingyi or whatever, and I can kind of pull from if I have a fighter in front of me or just an obstacle. It doesn't have to be a fight. It could be just some form of conflict. Switch your mind up. Sometimes like Tai Chi could be very passive aggressive, kind of way of talking to somebody, or if I have to Xingyi somebody, like hey, yell at you, then that's what has to happen. So you can have different ways of thinking about things as well. Yeah.
So it also sounds like different styles just also create different mindsets too.
They do,
So,
absolutely. I'm very Xingyi. I'm a little bit more of a type A, but I'm learning to relax as I get older. So I've calmed down a lot. So
So the classes are for both adults and for children.
Yes.
So if we can start talking about the benefits for adults, and then we can talk about children afterwards.
For adults, we have the biggest thing people come in for is mostly fitness. And some self-defense, but it really always boils down to some form of confidence, whether it's an adult or child. Confidence to look the right way as far as toning up, or just straightening out your whatever demons you're working on. And through just sometimes just hitting a peg gets a lot of aggression out, and you feel better, and then, you get pretty good at it, and it gets confidence with you. And I see through all my students how much they change. Usually for a lot of people, it takes a year to year and a half, and sometimes they're a whole different person, from day one when they came in, just in their confidence, their self-esteem, their if they were a type B, sometimes you get a type A out of them in no time. Not that you have to be that way, but people do. You find something else that you didn't know that was there inside you, and I find that very attractive in the arts. I've had my oldest students about 85 years old in Pleasantville, doing Tai Chi. We have the Kung Fu. The average in my old schools, is about 35 or so. So it's for any age. And if you can't, your hips don't work that much anymore, or Tai Chi's the way to go too. It's for anybody. And Tai Chi it could be for any age as well. Right. Tai Chi, I start usually around 13 years old for a person, and kids. Yeah, we start at 4 years old. And the biggest thing for their benefits that they get out of it is more the confidence, self-esteem issues as well. It's just like an adult. They're going to attach onto focus. Parents always bring their kids in for focus and listening skills, and that's really what I do. It's punching, kicking is the easy part. It's we call it Chinese Martial Arts an educational center for a reason, because we're teaching a lot more than just punching and kicking. We go into role-playing drills to learn how to be more focused or more confident, having better way to speak. We do speeches for school a lot. My thing, and I hope I'm doing okay. I couldn't speak in front of a large audience at one point. I think when I really got into the martial arts more, and one of my former teachers made me do a lot of more public speaking, teaching in front of classes. I would stutter a lot. I would shake, and it really helped me out. So, and for kids, especially knowing who I am and what it did for me, I want to do the same thing and do it a lot earlier. So I do a lot of speeches for them, tons of communication skills, handshaking drills, small little business training. So this, which they don't. I find that they should be teaching more in school, and they just don't. Little things like that.
Yes, that's really important to be incorporating the self-esteem, and also just knowing how to interact with others, how to communicate, and all that. So it all.
Yes, absolutely.
That's really good if that all ties into it. And I know one of the other things that you wanted to discuss was the whole bullying thing and how this
Yep.
can help.
Yeah, we have a full bully program that we do. In my Mini Dragons program, we really start with stranger danger and how to work with that, which I'll go into in a second. Going back to the bullying, we have we do a lot of wordplay. We do what's called ABCs of avoidance conflict. So, for example, I'll go right through the list. We have A, when you're dealing with a bully, if someone's coming up to you. We're not, we're martial arts, but Shaolin always tends to be a very peaceful art. I'm not looking to make any of my kids bullies. We do very non-aggressive things first. So, we try to, A is avoid. We try to avoid the situation the best we can. For a kid in school, you just sometimes try to move your chair. I mean, if that doesn't work, then we go to different avenues. B, you get an approach with someone that's very aggressive, just take a deep breath, breathe. C, communicate with confidence. That's the big one, right? So if you're in school at a 4 or 5 or 6-year-old child or even older, if you have some kind of conflict with somebody who is constantly bugging you, we just try to really use a very strong voice, and it gets the teacher's attention, something's going on. It also embarrasses the child that's bothering you a little bit, so they're going to stop, D, distance and stance, learning how to understand how close for this person, where they're going to be if the person is constantly bugging me, understanding how you should stand and how you should move to not get pushed down or whatever, knowing your exits, knowing your environment. F, we yell fire, not help. So if you're getting beat up by somebody or someone's really attacking you or chasing you, you feel it's going to be really, something that's going to really physically hurt you. I teach my kids never yell help, because you sound like every other kid in the playground. If you're screaming, you sound like every other kid in the playground. So we really teach them to yell fire, and within reason. And we'd go over that too, but that now people are going to look. It's like, what's going on? So it's a better way of doing things. And our last stage, we got G is get away and get help if you can, and H is then we do teach them, like, if all else fails, hit hard, hit first, hit fast, right? Because I feel that no kid should be a target, and I don't want them to be other kids teaming up on this child because they know that he is not a person who can defend themselves, and school can be cruel in a lot of ways, and we know that. And for my little guys, we go to stranger danger, and we go through very similar stuff that a lot of role-playing drills with that as well. Understanding, a lot of things that parents teach their children at home also, but reminders kind of also coming from a secondary influence like myself. Sometimes goes a long way. I mean, like most people, they don't listen to their parents.
Right.
I didn't listen to my parents. My teacher said it, and I was like, oh, okay, that made sense. My father just said it last week, but I didn't hear it. So listening to your teachers or some other secondary influence, like a coach or an instructor, you're more likely to hear it, because it's not falling on deaf ears per se. With
and also just hearing it multiple times, and coming from different sources, and then it finally. But as parents, we always have those moments where, like, didn't I just say that to you? But somebody else said it, and you're like, oh, that made so much sense. But
you got the credit, right? Yeah.
Yep. So yes, that's good, and 4 is about like a good age to be.
If you go, I do start kids a little bit younger. Usually if they have a sibling in the class, then it's kind of okay. I find 4 is the best age. I have a son. He's 3, but I'm with him all the time. We do at least a 5 to 10 minute class every day since he was 1. That's how I'm built. He's going to learn, and I'm doing it. He's going to do it.
Sure. Yeah,
he's going to take over the schools eventually. So he's got to do it. But 4 is a good stage. I mean, they really start to get their coordination a little bit starts kicking in. Their listening is pretty decent. And then I amp them up better. But 3 as long as if we're on the same page with the parent, and we a lot of things that we do talk about to make it a team effort between the teacher and the parent, because it doesn't work me coming in for the half an hour or 45 minutes teaching their child, and they go home and we're back to square one. So there's a big team effort that that we do, and the parents in my school do stay. I prefer not to have a drop-off facility. If people have to go, I understand, but I want the parent to understand what's going on. I want them to hear me. I wouldn't leave my child with anybody either if I didn't know them for a while. So I'd rather them stay for a couple weeks, couple months to really get to know me and listen to what I'm saying. And this way, I have some tips at home that can help out for listening and focus. So.
Right. Well, and also I think it could be helpful if, to remind your child, like, oh, didn't Sifu Tom say?
Yeah, I'm worse than
and so
Santa Claus
kind
for
of-
some people, right?
you know,
They,
but I think
they
it's,
call me, and
you know, it's,
some parents call me, talk to him, all right, I'll talk to him. So, it
but
does
yeah,
work.
but then it's more collaborative on the raising the children.
Absolutely.
And, and then they, they're picking up tips from you
Mhm.
and can incorporate that.
Sure.
And yeah, I think that could be
Yeah,
very helpful.
yeah.
So, and then so the kids, they get belts and stuff at different
Yeah,
ages.
there's progression.
So-
We have progressions every about 2 to 3 months for the kids. And I just actually got off the phone with a mother who was a little concerned about how fast it is. Well, times are different now. The way I trained when I was younger, our progressions were every 6 months to a year. And some kids could handle that. But when I was looking around to my left and right, a lot of kids weren't there when I started. So the model nowadays is a little more frequent. Because a lot of the technology is moving very fast. Everything is instant gratification in a lot of ways, and you need to see the progress quicker. So we do have graduations, we can call them, a little more often. And the reason really is, and I do prefer it this way, is public speaking and being in the center of attention more often, and that goes a long way too. Rather than do it every 6 months where it's almost like a reset button and everyone's back to being nervous to perform in front of a large audience or whatever. So the more you do it, you desensitize to the process, and by the time you hit your black belt per se, you've probably been up there 20 times or so in front of a large audience, and it doesn't bother you anymore. And they're really only getting certified at first in Shaolin Long Fist, and then there's we have probably about 16 other styles that we teach as well, in our school. On top of that, we also have a fitness program there, not just the Kung Fu, but we also have a big fitness program with my friend Kathy, who teaches whole core and body training, and she is a really good workout. I mean, that's all I can say. And we also have a full-time Wing Chun program too that we're incorporating into the school. That one of my Wing Chun teachers teach. He's coming over to my school to help us out. Those are on, I believe, at this school Tuesdays and Thursdays at around 8 o'clock or so. So we have that.
And what is Wing Chun?
Wing Chun is I gotta be careful because. It's a hybrid system of the origin of a lot of it is from the styles of the snake and the crane. They felt that when they were putting it together, it's a Southern martial art. One of the most famous people in it is Ip Man. People more connect with maybe Bruce Lee, but Bruce Lee's teacher was Ip Man when he first came up. It's a little bit more centerline theory where you don't have to. If you look at the Shaolin, sometimes a little bit more moving, a little more dynamic. Wing Chun tends to be just really, really centered. You keep your hands up in one place, you let the attack come to you, and you respond to it by what we call bridging. It's not a very large system. It really you get most of the material within about 4 to 5 years, and you're pretty much done with the style as far as what it needs to teach you. But then it's just, of course, it's years and years after that of really perfecting it.
Sure.
So and that's kind of what they felt. They wanted really the Wing Chun guys. They really wanted to get good quick, not have a lot of different styles and stuff like that. They like to keep it very simple and very direct. I'm really not doing the system justice talking about it. You really have to kind of see it, and more of a hands-on kind of guy about talking about that one. But yeah, that's Wing Chun. Okay.
And then so with the other styles, it's really like years of just learning all the different movements in there. And
there's a lot of, and every style has something different to teach you. You got the long fist, which is very, very linear. And kind of, the styles, you can really divide them by north and south of, the Yangtze River, the Yellow River. Down south, you have a lot of cities, right? So you're going to see a lot of things that are more compact. The way they fight, the way they move is very compact. Something like a Kempo or a Wing Chun system. You always see, like, if you watch any of the movies, they're always fighting in the inn, in the battle in the bar kind of concept or whatever they were doing, and there's a lot of tables and chairs. So they really kind of designed the fight system around that kind of system where you don't have to really move around. You go up north, a lot of farmland up in the old Beijing area. Now it's different, but there's a lot of farmland. So you'll see everything's very linear, in the way they move, and they have a lot of more jumping and flipping kind of stuff because you have room to do that. So they kind of go with what your environment's giving you in a certain way.
Yeah.
So and they're all different. I mean, you have close cousins to long fist, which is Tontoy. And a lot of more militant styles too. So there's something for everybody, And I love them all because I'm always trying to find my fingerprints, what I like the best, and I find like I really like a lot of them. I mean, there's
pretty much whatever you're doing at the time.
So
what you
like. I like a lot of times. Yeah,
right.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is good. So and for my students too, they every time I switch gears, I like this one the best.
Right.
Well, because it's new.
Right.
You've been doing that for a while, so they do it. They always like the new stuff. So lots of different stuff.
Yeah. That's really interesting how they kind of just did it based on how much space they had, and they created a form around it. And it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I mean, you go into, like, for example, Wushu. Wushu is, now in modern day in China, they do it. It's more of the Olympic sport over there. Is more of a Wushu. Now, the design for Wushu or the long fist system at a very high level was to kick people off of horses. That's why you saw the high jumping and the kicking and things like that. So they're trying to really get up as high as they can to really knock some guy off. I'm not a jumper. I'm more the self-defense guy. But a lot of my brothers and sisters, they phenomenal athletes, and it's really good for the body too. So yeah.
No, with like kung fu and stuff like that, is it kind of like, I know when I did Tai Chi, like there's like a short form, a long form. Is that kind of what you do, or is it more of just?
Yeah, there's multiple forms. If we stick to just to say, for example, Tai Chi, I teach a lot of short forms when we get into. I start with everyone with the yang long form first. So we have what's called the 108. And then we go into other things like push hands. We go into application. We go into the Jin or the straight sword or the Dao, the broadsword. We'll go into all different philosophies. The Qigong we'll go into into it also. Then then we dabble into other styles. Not teaching another person a big long form. Unless they live around a long time, then I'll do it. But we start really going into maybe a short Chen form or a short Yang Chong form. Not because it takes the average about maybe a year and a half to get the whole 108 down.
Right.
So going another year to 2 years to teach another long form might be. People got things to do. I don't know how long they want to let. I have no problem teaching it, but some people I know they're not. Things get in the way, time gets in the way, and so we get kind of just the different studies of it. So,
right. And really, the underlying thing for everything is all about like character development and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like that. So if you can talk a little bit.
Yeah. It's really it did a lot for me. So. As far as the character, it goes into all the essence of being a better person. When we come in the door to our school, we do right hand fist, left hand palm, which is a sign of what's called courtesy. And it's really for kids. It's saying that you're going to do your best when you come in the door. You're going to be a good listener. For adults, the same thing. That we're here for a different purpose. We're shutting all our problems down that we had coming in. Boss said something to you. You had just a bad day in general. So when you do the courtesy symbol, you're here for a different reason. And how does it change your character on the outside? I find myself when I come into any door frame, I'm showing courtesy. It's just because I'm being my best behavior. Not that I'm doing anything funny, but it was a reminder to just be kinder to people. And the Shaolin studies. I mean, there's no better place I ever found than the training floor. I mean, you learn so much. You're kinder to people. You learn to be more tolerant to different people, and everyone's friendly with each other. I've been to gyms and stuff like that, and I'm fine with working out. But you got people that are, you get into situations. That's my bench. This is my, what. So there's, Shaolin, we're always helping each other out. And I don't think it's just my studio, but I think it's martial arts in general that you have a brotherhood and a sisterhood with your person next to you. You bled, sweat, and cried with them at some point if you're with them long enough. Right. So your character changes as far as just being a better person. You get inspired by each other a lot of ways. You're inspired by your teachers. You're inspired by, it's just an inspiring art. And you just start changing. Like I said, you become kinder. You become more self-reflectant, on certain things. You look at people differently. You talk to them differently. And that's what Shaolin. That's what it is. It's a peaceful art. And we try to show that on the outside too, not just being aggressive. Like some of the martial arts can be. And And we differ. I mean, the biggest thing about character is nowadays characters changing in the martial arts. We have a lot of this mixed martial arts out there that I like watching on TV, but I'm not a fan of teaching people to go into a ring and whack each other. And I've done it myself personally. So again, but I'm older now, and it's not about that. And for I don't know for females, but for males, every boy has to kind of get that out of their system. From 15 to 25, it's in your blood. You need to hit and scratch and punch your way out for the most part. But eventually you start realizing that there's better ways of doing things, and it's just a lot of hormones in our body, I guess. So, it just builds character. I don't know how, it's just come and try. You'll see. So.
And actually, on that, we're just about out of time. So if you could let people know again, where the studio is located, all the contact information, that'd be great.
Yeah, my name is Sifu McCusker. We're at Chinese Martial Arts and Educational Center. Our website is CMAEC.com. Again, CMAEC.com. The Nyack location is at 125 Main Street, Store 4, right at what they call Tali Plaza, or the old Helen Hayes Center, right on the top level there.
Okay, and the phone number?
Phone number, yes, 845-353-2710.
Great. Great. Well, thank you so much for being my guest on the show today.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And I look forward to connecting with everyone again next week.
It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com